It doesn't matter who you are or which esport you play. If you're known for being salty, it's probably not a good thing.
This f***ing game is shit! If you're not gonna participate in the group activity, then leave!
Bro, my man, like,
Whether you're talking shit,
And you're gonna wanna wash the taste of my out of your mouth.
losing your shit, or desperately trying to keep your shit intact.
okay, back on these.
How could this happen to me? I'd like to miss shots.
It often feels as if competitive gaming is just one big constant struggle to stay composed. But as with all rules, there exists one exception. And let me tell you, this one is real salty.
Just letting you know, you're all trash. You're all fucking awful Dota players. Just accept it. You're never gonna be good. You have no hope. You're wasting your fucking life. You should go to school and focus on your studies.
It's not first time he missed the stun.
All right, dude, let's fucking drive over to his house and beat the shit out of him. Hey, Void, stop hitting the fucking neutrals and use your chronosphere, you dumb piece of shit.
Meet Peter PPD Dager, Dota 2's resident all-American asshole. A cunning strategist and self-proclaimed salt lord whose attitude allowed him to create pretty much the greatest North American superpower modern esports has ever seen.
They keep running out for GG, well played! EG are your TI5 champions!
The problem is that depending on who you ask, that attitude also unraveled it.
We were in the middle of this huge divestment where we're all taking ownership in EG, and it was, and all of a sudden, like, Sumail didn't want to play with me because I'm a tough guy. I'm a strong personality, and when I feel like people aren't giving it their all, that's when that's my biggest pet peeve. That's when I actually get frustrated.
And in spite of all of his confidence, he's never been able to replicate that success. So how did PPD's dickish demeanor both pave his way to the top and seemingly derail his career? And more importantly, can he ever get it back?
In your mind, what makes a team successful?
4 really talented players plus me, I think, is a recipe for success.
Okay, so if you're some little zoomer who's unfamiliar with the great Peter Pandam and doesn't understand how significant he was to the growth of esports in NA, you've got some catching up to do. You see, Dota's ever-reigning Salt Lord is just a good old Midwestern boy who likes his foosball almost as much as he enjoys tearing people's hearts out.
Did you ever think that you would climb all the way to the pinnacle of the Dota 2 community and be on this panel?
Did you?
But don't let his icy demeanor fool you. PPD isn't as cool as he might appear.
So you thought Jean-Claude Van Damme sounded cool, and you said, I gotta be a little bit more like that, so Peter Pandam.
Yeah, and then I shortened it to PPD when I came to Dota because I needed a cool 3-letter name like everybody else.
Right.
Anyway, like a lot of Dota greats, PPD got his start in Heroes of Newerth, but as soon as he got his hands on Valve's much-anticipated Dota 2, he became a god at it. And it wasn't long before he'd cemented himself as one of the game's most galaxy-brained strategists.
The damage has been done. And there it is. Wow, Empire will tap out.
PPD has drafted really well for this team for the past week. Right now, dare I say it, we haven't seen Navi Alliance play this patch yet, but so far he may be the strongest drafter in the West, or at least he's drafting the strongest currently.
Yeah. See, even though PPD didn't boast especially great mechanics, it didn't matter. He was a thinker, a shot caller, a brazen bully who led his teammates to victory through airtight drafts and an unerring sense of confidence.
He watches replays of all the teams we're about to play, studies up on what we should be picking, theory craft strats we can be playing as well. We have no one to lead us if it wasn't for him.
The flip side is that he was a sacrificial support, the kind who was so fixated on enabling his teammates that he forewent pretty much all forms of farm. In fact, the 5th position playstyle that PPD pioneered was so impoverished that the community coined it Position 6.
My individual skill set that I was best at was just my positioning, and in team fights, I just kind of, you know, if you put yourself in a really good position, you don't necessarily need the fastest reaction time, you know, all those things that, you know, maybe people thought that I was lacking. People can talk smack and say I'm like, you know, low mechanical skill and all that stuff, you know, but I'm a lot better than, you know, people give me credit for.
At a time when North American Dota had yet to be taken seriously, PPD spearheaded the explosive Sad Boys roster, who were quickly signed by Evil Geniuses, and he led them straight to the top. Within a year of going pro, he managed a top 3 finish at TI4.
The Mason's already triggered off the ultimate. In range of the tower, there's your boy, we got Hexed! The second he jumped in, they can kill him off, the Global Sun's burning, he BKBs Kronos, but he's already dead! Prophet kills him off! Ice is trapped outside, MMY, he tries to go on Universe, but he just gets obliterated, 3 heroes down, the top ranks will go as well, and that's GG! EG are through the winners bracket final!
So how exactly did PPD turn a group of misfits into a superpower? Well, by being a dictator. By making it absolutely clear that it was his way or the goddamn highway.
It's hard to get people to commit to things, to commit to ideas. He's somebody that forced people to commit to doing things. He would commit himself by putting himself out there first. And that was something that the scene had lacked for, a very long time.
And because the man was a veritable genius of the game, PPD's tyranny yielded results.
If they can't kill that creep, they're in too much trouble. Simba dropping now, he's out of the fight, and it's onto the throne. The boys in blue in Kiev, they got secret by the jugular, and they take home the grand finals. They are the Star Ladder Season 10 champions.
I made so many sacrifices. Like, part of what I do is because I like to compete. Being able to say that I competed and pushed myself to a limit, where not everyone else can get to, is very rewarding.
The problem, of course, is that when you're so used to being right, it can be pretty frustrating to watch others be wrong. PPD was the kind of competitor who expected the best of not only himself, but everyone around him. And let's just say he wasn't shy about it.
Sunstrike my mate. Wow. Oh my god!
Actually so fucking bad.
No shit, you suck for sure, dude.
Are you nice or naughty these days?
Oh, I'm actually really mannered right now. I think it's a new thing I'm trying. My MMR went up like 400 in like 2 days. So,
nice.
Kill him with kindness is what I say.
Hey, dumbass fucking Willow, buy some fucking sentries, you useless piece of shit.
PPD loved trash talk and had zero tolerance for incompetence. And whether through biting sarcasm or blatant barbaric abuse, he made a point of showing it.
Alright, so in order at the very beginning of the game, you're going to want to open with insulting the team's draft. Obviously, they probably had a little bit of debate about it, and they were making some team choices, and maybe that somebody was a little edge on a couple of those. So you just try and reaffirm those negative opinions and really start the negativity for the other team at minute 0.
Hey, don't give up. You're playing great. You can come back and be a huge part of this victory.
Before long, PPD had cemented himself as the saltiest son of a bitch Dota had ever seen, and the community loved him for it.
He actually got like a portrait that's made out of salt.
Now, unfortunately for PPD, not everybody responds particularly well to that kind of despotic leadership.
He's had to learn some, hard lessons in the last couple of years, and I think he's also changed as a person and as a captain.
I would say the lowest point was like right when Arteezy and Zai left. Especially Zai, like that was someone I'd been playing with for a significant amount of time that I thought really believed in me and trusted me. I had feelings of being betrayed, and that sucks.
But as it turns out, that was pretty much the best thing that could have happened to him.
I went around and talked to players about joining our team, and nobody wanted to play with us. Everyone thought that we were on the losing end of this Western shuffle.
See, while everyone else was off building super teams, PPD took his scrappy, Sumail and Aoi-centric iteration of EG and instilled within them the one thing the previous roster had never really had: trust. And at TI5, PPD would lead this new-look EG all the way to the grand finals, where they would go on to make history.
There is no hook shot. They're all together. PPD, here comes the Ice Blast, ready for the dive! In from Universe! It's a disaster! CDEC! They're gonna get wiped from the face of the earth, apart from aggressive. He'll jump out, but the wombo combo perfectly hits from Evil Geniuses.
got Echo slam up. He just sees his bling. They're going to come back. Call out aggressive. The call down. The perfect position. There's your Echo slam. Aggressive. Locked in position right now. He got embraced up by the window Wyvern, but Fear moving forward as well. The DK about to drop. Aggressive. The Soul Survivor. CDEC. It looks troublesome. It looks really, really bad for them. Aggressive on the run. Universe right behind him. They keep running out for GG. Well played. EG are your TI5 champions.
From there on out, PPD's status as the best drafter in the world was absolute. He'd led a grassroots group of actual North Americans to the biggest championship in esports, and proven that even with a so-called second-hand roster, he could outwit anyone. Following their TI triumph, PPD's stock only grew. He'd reached the apex of Tier 1 play, and was willing to do whatever it took to stay there.
We ended up releasing AUI and bringing in our old teammate Arteezy to play with us, and it's just kind of what everyone on our team thought was best for us.
But it wasn't long after EG saw the return of their prodigal son that Arteezy and PPD once again began to clash. Of course, this time around, PPD had a TI to his name, so his rule became all but absolute. And despite having the best roster in the world on paper, this tension within the team caused them to flounder, ultimately resulting in Arteezy's second departure.
The second one was bullshit, to be honest. It was really stupid. I was very, very upset. I was pissed. That kind of change was very unwarranted. And like I said before, it was definitely like players were giving up.
Here's the crazy thing though. For the second year in a row, EG entered the International with a cobbled together lineup. And for the third year in a row, they achieved a top 3 finish. It was uncanny. As soon as PPD and his compatriots were counted out, that's when they'd come alive.
And he's trying to get PPD, but Evil Genius is cool, calm, and collected. They're holding it to Vents here again. If they kill him, chicken here, able to get up the ice blast, and no! E-Home! 5 down! 1 buyback, and that's only the Warlock. It's only Mega Creeps and Warlock who could defend this. Evil Geniuses. Have they just done it?
That was a hold of a lifetime. EG, this team just does not quit. 60 seconds without this jug. E-Home, can they hold EG? Confident they can.
Smear's coming up as well. The tier 4 is being beaten on. It begins the jump forward. Somehow, already going on to Fermin. No chaotic offering, and the ice blast, and Dragon first. He'll take him out. E-Home, Fermin buys back into tier 4. Oh, the throne's going down. The throne down to half HP. E-Home can't defend it. They've done it. Game 1. It's over. Evil Geniuses. The impossible comeback made possible by EG.
I can safely say I've never seen something like that.
After TI, EG decided to reclaim Arteezy for a third time. And the question was whether he and his captain would finally be able to put aside their differences. Of course, they never got their chance, since Arteezy wasn't the only superstar who thought that PPD was hard to work with.
He was the player who played the least pubs on the team, who practiced the least on the team, who would tilt out after every scrim, every tournament. Like, if he loses scrim, he would just put his headsets on and, sign off.
It turned out that the very roster that PPD had skyrocketed to success had finally had enough of his shit. Though it wasn't made public until later, PPD didn't so much step down from Evil Geniuses as much as he was kicked.
We had a talk after TI, and it was, hey, what are we going to do? We were in the middle of this huge divestment where we're all taking ownership in EG, and it was, and all of a sudden, like, Sumail didn't want to play with me because I'm a tough guy. I'm a strong personality, and when I feel like people aren't giving it their all, that's when that's my biggest pet peeve. That's when I actually get frustrated.
And that, kids, is how Peter Dager became a professional Gwent player.
Who's going to move on to the finals? Will it be Noxious or PPD?
Boring!
Anyway, leaving aside his weird foray into the Witcher-based card game, what PPD really went on to do was become the CEO of the very org that ousted him?
After TI6, the plan was not for me to be the CEO. That was not the initial plan. It just kind of changed into that.
Now, in some weird way, it kind of made sense. PPD was certainly a very smart dude. He seemed to have a mind for business, and it felt from the outside as if he'd achieved everything he'd set out to do as a competitor.
Listen, if all else fails, you might need to make a new team. What happened to EG? Well, you own EG now. Makes sense.
So, where are you now?
I'm at TI7. How do we do in groups? EG's doing well, but you're not playing. You're working main stage panel. Panel?
But as much as PPD had already proven himself to be the greatest leader that NA had ever had, he still had a competitive itch that needed to be scratched. So he joined Optic Gaming in the hope of achieving yet another TI success.
So I went to TI7 as a commentator, and I had the idea of playing in the upcoming season. It was too exciting to watch and not participate. So I just built the best team possible that I could, and I was lucky and fortunate enough to find 3 of these guys.
The problem is that despite finding players willing to fall into line, PPD wasn't able to recapture the magic he was able to produce with EG. Not long after Optic imploded, PPD tried his luck again with Ninjas in Pajamas, but once again he failed to relive his past successes with a new roster. And finally, in April of 2020, the Salt King announced his retirement.
I'm pretty passionate about helping esport players build futures for themselves, and that's what I really want to help with. I think it's more likely going to end up in some sort of like influencer management role, where I can help. Ideally, I help esport players become better content creators so they can build their brands alongside their careers. That way they have options when they decide to stop competing. I'm excited to see if I can bring my philosophy somewhere and actually make some change. And that's really hard to do as a Dota player.
Ultimately, it isn't clear why PPD fizzled out. Whether he was a victim of circumstance, his own uncontrollable ego, or a little bit of both. What is clear is that he remains, to this day, both the single most important North American competitor to touch Dota and one of the most dominant drafters of all time. Whatever you think of PPD, it's undeniable that his brash, brazen attitude helped put his region on the map. He's proof that sometimes, to be successful, you have to make unpopular decisions that will make people despise you. There are a lot of North American superstars who talk big when it comes to bodying other regions, some with moderate success. But in the whole of modern esports, there's only been one who's been able to do it consistently, and that's PPD.
I've been saying bad things, right? But I'll also say this. I have no doubt in my mind that Peter was the best captain, like, in the history of Dota during like TF5 era. Like, he was really good at what he did. He had really good ideas. He was like super confident. He knew how to run players around.
He took a group of ragtag NA shitters that no one took seriously, gave them a sense of direction, and watched as they flourished into the region's greatest ever Dota team. While these days his sights might be set on arcade CSGO, it's not entirely clear if NA's sodium-born savior is truly done chasing another Aegis. But chances are, whether it's with respect to winning or whining, we've yet to hear the last of PPD.
There will be screaming. Yes, guys, I will be screaming at my teammates at some point tonight. This is just a little bit of a precursor, a little bit of a warning before I totally go off the rails. Dude, you just like suck at mid. I don't know what to say.
I need help with the heals. Like,
you can't solo heal it?
I know, I'm being serious right now. I healed 20k more than every other healer.
Dude, nice job, man. Keep it up.
It's not about nice job keeping it up. I need help with it.
Yeah, fucking muted. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
It's one of the things that separates EG, that Dynasty of EG, from so many North American esports teams, is that NA esports is always like, you know, 3 European players and like maybe 2 guys from North America, right? If not all Europeans. Like today, right now, there are no Americans on Evil Geniuses. There's 1 Canadian and 4 like people from Europe, from various European countries, from Israel. Like there's no actual NA players save 1.